Fox News. Daniel Penny's lawyers weighing malicious prosecution lawsuit after trial. Collusion from the very beginning. I'd like to start this by, first, that those aren't familiar, I think everybody knows, Jordan Neely was a well-known violent criminal who had rejected treatment, who appeared in a train threatening people. Daniel Penny had subdued him. In the process, Jordan Neely ended up dying after the fact. Penny just recently was acquitted. But as many people, they're somewhat aware, I have a question for all of you guys. Can you name the other man who held down Jordan Neely?
No.
Negative. I don't know.
I know he's
I'd
black.
have to Google it.
I'll give you some.
I know his last name was Gonzalez. That's all I know.
Oh, he's close.
Oh.
Eric Gonzalez.
Eric.
The black man who held down Jordan Neely and didn't get charged. So it sounds to me like Daniel Penny may actually have a malicious prosecution lawsuit.
There should be some kind of recourse where if your life is destroyed by a political DA somewhere, you should have some kind of recourse to sue them. I mean, I don't know what that would be like. I'm sure you could sue the city. You can't sue the DA personally because there's
Oh, it says they're going to sue him. The lawsuit would target DA Alvin Bragg and the medical examiner's office. Yeah, I mean, who do you target in a malicious prosecution anyway?
Yeah, but the DAs have protective immunity. So I don't know if they
Do they? I know cops do.
I'm almost 100%.
You would know more than me. I'm just.
If the DAs don't have protective immunity, I would be shocked considering how many would have already been personally sued and had their house taken away. That would be hard to sit there and say how they could sue him personally, but he could definitely sue the city. That would be
it says his team is eyeing a malicious prosecution lawsuit against DA Alvin Bragg and others behind the charges, turning the tables. Quote. They knew they weren't going to be able to get him, so they had to get rid of that top count in order to get that second count, just in hopes that maybe they could pull out a win here.
Do you know that Daniel Penny is also Italian? Like, as a fellow Italian, it has been highs and lows this week as far as people making the news among my people. Yeah,
maybe you should call the family.
I don't know what's going on, but we've had ups and downs. Yeah, I hope he's successful. I don't know how he would do it, but I hope he's successful because he was ripped his whole life, even forever. No matter what he does, he could cure cancer, and it will be next to his name. The guy who did the chokehold.
Did you see what the corporate press has been saying? There was one a print paper and it said Marine acquitted after strangling subway dancer or something like that.
Yeah,
unreal.
It's just strange.
Yeah, but where does he go to get his life back? Really? I mean, that's the thing about the internet. There's no way to ever go back to your normal life. You can never have even if you move to like a red state or red county, you can never have a normal life again. That will follow you. That will follow your kids for the rest of their lives. Everything. I mean, and it was clearly all nonsense.
Well, he could solve this easily.
Oh.
If he transitions and gets a new name, and no one's going to know.
Daniela?
Danielle.
Well, that's a little on the nose. But
yeah,
that's what they usually do.
Maybe he can change his name to Jordan.
Penny?
Neely?
I mean, yeah.
And then put on a dress.
And dance.
No,
but that's a good, I mean, listen, I hope he's successful. But
so this is, not to just shift too dramatically, but this is an interesting conversation that came up. I can't remember what podcast I was listening to. They were talking about how that trans youth may be a result of being unable to escape the internet. And that, so imagine this, you're a teenager and someone films you at a party or whatever and embarrasses you and ruins your life. Everyone's making fun of you and they keep sharing the video and you can't escape it. You want to change your name. You want to be someone else.
That's dark.
And yeah, so not that it's an absolute reason of all trans youth, but that the concern is that there are young women who are deeply embarrassed, deeply impacted by social issues, get mocked and made fun of for something in school, and then are told you can change your name, change your appearance, get surgery, and be someone else and move to a new school if you do this.
Yeah, the UK just banned hormone blockers today.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very good news.
Definitely. That's the one thing they've been actually pushing for a long time. That's actually conservative. But the thing is it's clearly a social contagion. There's absolutely no way it's not a social contagion. The difference
strangling subway dancers or
not being trans as a child. But the difference is like when you're about my age, so I'm 37. When you were getting picked on in school, when you had an embarrassing incident, when you did something, it left in school that day and you went home and it didn't follow you. And now with the phone, it follows you. And a big part of that is, I don't know. I think that
there's no escape.
There's no escape. It literally follows you. In Australia, they just banned apps for people under 16.
I think we should Yeah, I think
apps under 16.
I think you should only be allowed to have a smartphone after 16, and before that, it should be a dumb phone.
You know, I do a lot of things with school boards because I run the 1776 Project PAC. We do school board elections. And the number one school board trend that's happening in schools across the country, and this is blue and red, is the banning of cell phones in classrooms. It's happening across. It will happen in the schools.
But the dumb phones are fine if all they can do is make phone calls.
They're texting.
As I said, just phone calls. Texting is...
They have a rotary phones.
There's no reason to have phones.
They have phones that they make for kids.
Right,
where
in general.
It can dial and it can't make text.
You can't really? I didn't know that. I thought it was just texting.
There was an e-ink phone that came out a while ago that all it does is make phone calls, and they target it for elderly people.
Right.
But I think they should need to parents. You can lock the phones, you can get them, and you can disable it, but the kid's going to figure out how to
Well, you know what? It's the problem is the parents are oftentimes in the classrooms, one saying, no, you have to have my kid's phone on because I need to get a hold of him at all times. And it's this in mass anxiety by parents, which is nonsense.
Did you hear that story of the mother who got arrested because her 11-year-old was walking to the bodega?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? Like, let the kids just go do their thing, man.
Well, when you realize like how much more dangerous the world was when we were growing up in the early 90s versus now, and the paranoia compared to, and before that, what Gen Xers grew up in the 70s was like, it was far more dangerous.
Go outside and don't come back till the lights are on.
Yes, I was going to say,
exactly.
When I was 30 years ago, my parents were like, you're grounded from inside the house. Push me outside, close, say, when the lights come on, come home.
My mom would kick me the F out. Like, get out here. I'm trying to do something. Come back later.
I'd get on my bike, and then I would ride around to my friends' houses, and then when the lights came on, I'd ride home, and then I'd come home and we'd have dinner or something.
Yeah, but it's remarkably a much safer world than it was 50, 40, 30, 20 years ago. And you would think that it's massacres are happening on every single block, the way that people are treating children. And that elongates childhood. There was a great book called Generations. I forget the author's name. Jean Tweedy, whatever her last name is. But it talked about how people are children well into their 20s now and have a child mindset. So a 25-year-old now has the life experiences of a 15-year-old. And I have some relatives like this who are in their early 20s who, I mean, I did more at 16 than they did at 21, and they have no ambition to even do that, which I think is part of the breakdown.
This is going back to the story of Luigi Mangione.
Mm-hmm.
Look at his life. The dude's institutionalized his whole life. And I don't mean like in a health care facility or something. Sure. I'm saying he wakes up, goes to school as a little kid, then he goes to school as a teenager, then he goes to school as an adult, then he gets out and he's like, what is this? What is this? What is that? He has no idea what's going on. A 26-year-old, for hundreds of thousands of years of human development, a 26-year-old would be building their own house with a bunch of kids. Mm-hmm. Now I just finally got out of school and never had a job, and I'm 26. That's insane.
Did he never have a job?
I don't know if literally he didn't, but he was an Ivy Leaguer who went to school and got his
and was a valedictorian too.
Right.
So you think he'd be running a company by now or founding one? Or
he has no
something.
work experience.
Yeah, it's odd. It's really, really odd. Also, Matt, he gave his valedictorian speech, so now imagine that was like your valedictorian was Luigi. Like, where are they now in the 20-year reunions?
But just look at the current state of how kids are being raised, and let's project that out 20 years.
No, 100%. People do not have that. People made fun of millennials beyond belief because we liked avocado toast and imagine we were too much like children.
I
love avocado toast. It is great. It is great. People,
boomers
lost their minds because of that. But anyway,
avocados?
They did. They lost their minds over avocados. But that was that millennials being, I guess, young till we were 30. Alphas, it will be until they're like in their early 40s.
Do you think we can switch it back? Like how we're kind of like steering back towards the...
There was a story about how the number of wealthy white Americans who are going to college is down, which I thought was very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe people, if they have the opportunity to do something else, are taking it, and that taking a level of risk is part of growing up. Right? We divorce people from risk. That makes them children forever when you have everything decided for you. So maybe by not going to school, maybe sitting there and having a risk of like, I'm going to start a company. I'm going to make a job. I'm going to do something for myself. Maybe that will make them grow up. I don't know. But that would be part of it where you sit there and say, I think divorce them from social media and stuff like that is part of it.
Kids need jobs.
Yeah. That's why we can't let robots take over everything.
Yeah. Kids need jobs, like mowing the lawn. And a couple of years ago, I said kids need jobs, and we were talking about There was some bill that would allow kids under the age of 16 to work for like 12 hours at certain jobs or whatever, and the left lost their mind.
Yeah, I know. I told that. Yes.
Yeah.
They were like, you could work at like a Chick-fil-A for like, I guess it was like 20 hours a week, 24 hours a week, which is, it's a lot.
And
but
you're like, it was for like 14 and 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, child labor. And I'm like,
how old were you when you had your first job?
9.
9?
Yeah, my family owned a coffee shop.
Oh, okay.
That's right. And kids need jobs. Before that, I mowed lawn and rake leaves. You'd get a rake. You'd go to the house. You knock on the door. Can I rake your leaf for $5? And they'd be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we used to shovel snow for like $20 at people's houses. That was like, when it was good snow season as a kid, you're like, we are making bank right now.
I was delivering newspapers in Avoca, PA at 6 with my brothers.
Now kids are sitting around playing video games, going to
our
school,
bikes.
and then they are 22 and they've never had a job before.
It's crazy.
And they look up to Bernie Sanders, who also never had a job.
Wait, that's true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And his wife made a university go bankrupt, which I did not think was possible. It did. His wife's university did go bankrupt.
Isn't it the same
Well,
as Biden,
that's
too?
based.
All those guys.
What?
That's based.
I guess. I don't think she meant it. I think it was like, oops,
Hey, whatever her
sorry.
intentions were, the outcome was good.
Yeah. And he has 3 homes, and he's a millionaire. So, I mean,
man,
only in America could a socialist make so much money.
Well, he stopped pointing at millionaires too as soon as
Yeah. As soon as he became a millionaire, he dropped the word millionaire from all his speeches.
Really?
Yep. He used to go, the millionaires and the billionaires in this country.
Yeah.
And then he became a millionaire and he started saying the billionaires.
Really? I did not realize
yeah.
that he dropped millionaire from his little verbiage.
Yeah.
billionaires now.
And I was like, Bernie, look, there's a difference between a millionaire and a guy with $999 million, okay? Like, you're allowed to say the millionaires.
If you're 60 and you bought a house in a good neighborhood in Austin or whatever, and now it's worth $3 million, you're a multimillionaire. But you could be, a car salesman and just be like, making, a decent living, but not be
the right
wealthy.
investment.
Yeah, the right investment will change everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but, these socialists have no idea what they're talking about. Hence, they are defending Neely, and they defend
also,
the bad guys in every.
But isn't it always true, or most of the time true, that the biggest radicals in the history are always from the wealthy class? They're never usually poor people.
Yeah.
I mean, that is true. That's been all over Europe too.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that this Luigi kid, who never apparently really worked that much, even though he went to school and got a big degree and was clearly very, very smart, would have been
He's not
radical. Maybe in engineering. He's not. Listen, his manifesto was nonsense. Maybe he knows how to engineer. I don't know. I don't know engineering. So what am I supposed to sit there and
It's like when he said, we have the most expensive healthcare in the world, but our life expectancy is super low.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. Like, I bought a car from the car dealership and it was too expensive. My gas prices are so high. It's like, those are not correlated things.
He mention obesity? No, right?
No.
No.
But a great point brought up by Jeremy Kaufman is like, if the standard of living and labor costs are higher in the United States due to our wealth, healthcare will be comparable.
But it's funny how like healthcare is like the one thing that they have this belief of. Well, they don't blame the
And they don't
doctors.
even get it.
But they don't blame the doctors. They don't blame the nurses. They only blame the insurance agents.
when it's
And
really the
they're-
government because it's the most regulated industry
yeah.
in the United States and subsidized.
I remember in 2006, I needed health insurance or something, and I bought it like on a website for like $250 or $300 a month. And now that's almost impossible to do for less than, I don't know, $1,500 a month. It is, what I pay for health insurance for me and my employees is crazy high. And it wasn't before Obamacare. There was no way it was this high before Obamacare.
Obamacare screwed everything.
Yeah.
As much as like people, it was supposed to fix all the problems, and all it did was it allowed the insurance companies to write their own rules for the health insurance industry. It made prices skyrocket. The argument was prices are going to go up, then they're going to come down once people start buying into the system and stuff. But they never came down because the most subsidized and most regulated industry in America is the United States, in the United States is healthcare. I made this argument multiple times this week already. If you get rid of the subsidizing it, there's no reason for your healthcare to be attached to your job. You should have the money, obviously, to pay for healthcare, but you shouldn't have to have a job to be able to go to the doctor.
Yeah. Well,
There
that was
should
all
be a
FDR
market.
thing. FDR was the one who pushed for healthcare and jobs to be connected. No, sorry, he didn't push it. When he was president, because taxes were so high, companies offered health insurance instead of raises.
Yeah, we talked about that last night too. But the argument that it should just be free is BS. There needs to be a market, and that's the only way prices are going to go down.
Maybe I'm wrong with this, but didn't the number of insurance agencies diminished since
Yes.
Obamacare?
Yes.
It is almost like the military, where the number of, not the military, but the people who supply military supplies has decreased substantially over the last 20 years.
It's the same thing that happened with the banks with the after too big to fail. All these there used to be multiple smaller banks, and they all got eaten up by a handful of bigger banks.
Right.
You don't want the government to go into an industry and have massive regulation. You have to let the markets do it. And when people do things that make their business fail, the government can't come in and save them.
Yeah, my buddy Ann Coulter always said if tarot card readers had a lobby, they would be covered by insurance.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.